I'm right beside you.
Never before seen scenes back into a studio after.
We're not even talking about the fact that like I am sitting here and you're sitting there. Bro, he's real.
Yeah, essentially we've recorded the past several episodes virtually, and we were doing it in the studio beforehand. Now we're back in the studio. This is the studio. We got posters on the wall.
Yeah.
Disney Cam, Lego Stitch.
For the record,
Like-
although I love all those movies on the fucking wall, those were not my picks. Great picks, beautiful picks, not my picks.
Arguably the best picks.
Bro, replace that The Exorcist poster with the Japanese Hot Fuzz poster I sent you. I'm gonna be happy.
The day you buy the Japanese Hot Fuzz poster, I'll put it here just for it to be featured in a special Hot Fuzz episode.
Cool, and then I'll bring it home.
Obviously, I don't want that in my house. But yeah, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Goodfellas behind me. Down there, we got The Exorcist. We got cool shit popping. National Lampoon vinyl on the wall across the set that no one can see.
Sorry, you'll see it one day.
One day. Until then, I feel bad. Anybody who listens audio, imagine you're listening audio and we're just pointing to shit.
Bro, they gotta see our beautiful faces.
Sure, yeah, exactly. You go to YouTube, youtube.com/CinecloudPod.
It's backslash?
What's backslash like? Just put your hand up.
Probably like
It's a / It's a regular URL slash.
Okay, so it's a /.
My bad. youtube.com/CinecloudPod or youtube.com/@CinecloudPod is actually the YouTube links now.
Or you just go on the YouTube search.
Or you just go to our Instagram story at Cinecloud. Fuck. Never mind. I'm getting you. We'll get used to it eventually. How to run a podcast, but essentially, unironically, we're here to talk about one of the very first movies I've seen in movie land ever. I didn't tell you that. I held back information until we got to this scene.
You actually did. It's like what?
So, yeah, exactly. So let me break it down. We're talking about The Hurt Locker today. Catherine Bigelow, 2008. I'm looking at you like I'm telling you for the first time. You know what we're doing. Okay. Catherine Bigelow, 2008. Jeremy Renner, Mackie, Guy Pearce, Ralph Fiennes star in it. Movie won Best Picture. Bigelow won Best Director. Movie's fantastic. That goes without saying. We're here to dig a little bit deeper. But essentially, the reason I handpicked this movie, Warfare is coming out this Friday, 8/24. Not sponsored. I wish I was.
Released by the guys that made Civil War.
Right? Alex Garland made Civil War.
Which is the director of
For this one, he's teamed up with a real Iraqi war veteran to recap what Warfare is?
Yeah.
It's literally 90 minutes continuous of like something happening in the street of Iraq. And it's a real man who was there who's also co-directing it with him, which is going to be insane.
Yeah.
I have much faith. And that kind of what led me to look into this movie again is because what does real war look like captured raw? You and I, first of all, we don't look like we've been to war.
Nope.
Second of all, we haven't. So
third of all, we'll get into it later. But like Hurt Locker is not like realistic per se, but it's okay.
Well, it kind of does some like a little bit of rawness. There's a little bit of truth.
I don't want to jump into it, but I'm going to jump into it right away.
Sure.
What the people are mad about this movie get wrong is that it's not made for it to be realistic. It's made for you to be immersed.
I gotta stop you for 1 second.
Bro,
why do you pick up your mic 1 inch above the table? Just put it down on the table.
I can't. I need to have it like this so that I can do special effects.
Okay, I'll just lean forward.
Right. It's made to be not realistic, but immersive. And I think this is what this movie does best.
I think the movie does a better. So like, this is why I gotta go back to what I was saying, but I hear what you're saying. This movie was the first ever class I took in film school. Not this current batch of film school. The first batch of film school. So like college film school.
Crazy.
Straight out of high school, get to my first class, fresh out of young, still wet behind the ears, like 18 years old. And they're like, only 4 years. No, I wasn't.
No, it was
18,
you were
17, realistically.
Yeah.
And I sit down in this class, and it's a class called Scripting for Media. And literally first day, the teacher goes, all right, you want to know how to script truth and intelligently? Today we're watching The Hurt Locker. And in my head, I'm like, what the fuck is The Hurt Locker? And then I'm like, do a little quick search while the teacher's talking. And I'm like, oh, best pick. This is going to be great. This is going to be amazing. And we watch it. And you've sat on everybody sat in a classroom chair, just plastic pieces of garbage. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, it felt like I was in like a full-blown movie theater experience with a bunch of classmates, like watching this movie. And it was That class ran for 3 hours every Friday morning. And so, like, literally 2/3 of my class was dedicated to the Hurt Locker. I remember class time ended and the movie wasn't finished, and the teacher asked us, whoever wanted to stay to finish it was allowed to. And so I stayed to finish it because I was like, fuck my next class. This movie's cool.
Were you the only one staying?
No, bro. The ending of the Hurt Locker.
Yeah, I know, but like,
so
were you
like
the only one
so
staying?
like no.
How many left?
Like 5-6 people.
Okay, yeah.
But we're watching this movie, and I remember just thinking to myself, like, all I had done coming into film school was write like bad scripts, like funny skits or whatever I could pull off with like 4 or 5 people. And I was watching that movie and I'm like, I am literal light years behind what like, I'm like, I feel stupid. I like, and it's not that this movie is overly convoluted or like the golden standard of what a film has to be or should be. There is no gold standard, right? It's all subjective. But when I'm watching this movie, I was like, sure, the movie might not be realistic. Yes, it aims for more immersion. But part of being immersive involves making your characters feel like real people. And that's what this movie has more than, in my opinion, any other war film made by an American person. Mm-hmm. No, it's not a problem. I don't have a problem with American people. But I'm saying,
but if you know, you know. Like,
I'm saying, like, if you ever watch an American war movie, it's fucking, they're flying in Freebird, choppers going, we're bombing Nam.
Yep. Marilyn Monroe on the plane, that kind of shit.
Yeah, and that's okay because that's peak entertainment. But this movie kind of plays both sides where it figures to itself, well, we can entertain and be immersive and be somewhat realistic as well, can we not? Mm-hmm. And it does. Hurt Locker just straight up does. To me, that I remember being, I came home and I told my dad, I'm like, Dad, you gotta watch we're gonna watch this movie tonight. We're watching it tonight. He's like, whoa. He thought we were talking about like the next biggest, greatest movie ever. And so we sat there and watched it, and he's like, I mean, it was good. I'm like, it's amazing. He's like, well, it's kind of just like a collage of scenes with little linear plot. And then I clicked right then and there. This is like a long story, I know, but I clicked right then and there. I'm like, shit, The Hurt Locker is not a linear plot. There is no plot line. It's a psychological plot line. I'm like, then I really realized, like, I'm fucking light years away. Like, when my scripts were like, man picks up banana, throws banana peel. like, and meanwhile, Catherine Bigelow is out here breaking down the psyche of a
warmonger.
Yeah, a warmongering, bomb diffusing genius, like, played by Jeremy Renner. And so, you had just watched this movie this week, first time.
Yep.
I have seen it
3 times now?
Yeah, like 3. Then clips, sporadic clips. So I'd say if you want to count the sporadic clips as one full watch, 4, but if not 3. The 2 times, one in the school, one with my dad, one time. I didn't watch it this week. I watched it.
You watched it, yeah, because it was like, we need to do it. We need to do it.
Yeah, I that's my problem. I booked the date and I watched the movie, but I'm like, fuck, when are we going to do this movie? we finally bring it up, and I'm a little bit behind. Nick has it fresh off the dome.
Yeah.
The last movie you watched.
Yeah.
There we go. So, there's no sense in coming in with a synopsis to this, what this is. If you haven't seen it already, you should. We're not here to review it like it's brand new.
We're here to review it for what we like.
Rip it apart.
Yeah.
Let's rip it apart. So yeah, you watched it off first time. Mm-hmm. And you are somebody who has watched several different war movies. I think you're like a war movie fan.
I wouldn't paint myself as that.
No, not like a bad war movie fan. Like I like death, but like a war movie fan. Yeah, like you appreciate the history.
I really
appreciate the history.
Yeah, I really.
This is modern. 2004. It's set.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So,
but like again, if you want to start off with that, it's just thinking about like war adaptations. I remember we were chatting yesterday actually about it. And I was like, we gotta like cut that conversation short for today. Mm-hmm. But I was centering the conversation around the idea that for a war movie, it, as much as it goes for stereotypes, it really does not, because it like moves from, it involves the people rather than the issue at hand. Although the issue is right front and center, and that is like truly special.
You're saying it involves the the people more than the issue, character driven more than just like,
But-
because it kind of just, the issue is always the same.
But you know how, like, if you take a Schindler's List, you know, the issue, the history, the whole movement is what like drives this movie forward. And there's this one guy standing up for everything around it and like has a moral compass. Right?
Yeah.
This movie is very much this is a society. See how they like jumble up and act in this sandbox setting, you know. And I don't mean it in a like diminutive way. I really mean it as just, it is literally a sandbox for like the director as a writer. Because did she write it too? Again,
Good question.
Her and the writer.
She's fantastic though. I keep going. Just
it's a sandbox for her / as a writer to just explore how you can tell the same story that has been told time and time before, but not through a lens of violence, shock, and overall.
She didn't write it. She did not write it. Mark Bowl, who is her like collaborator, wrote it. He wrote Zero Dark 30 and Detroit in 2017 as well. So
they worked
she didn't write it, but they worked together. Essentially, I'm sure she has massive input on whatever happens, right? So,
but the idea that like at the end of the day, it's gonna be how, you know how like in an equation 1 + 1 = 2. I feel like her 1 + 1 were the people, and the result was just whatever the hell was happening.
So that's something that you can notice right away when you watch The Hurt Locker is like, and you can only compare, in my opinion, you talk about a movie that is a war movie, you can only look at it in the scope of other war movies in a way. So let's not go far. Saving Private Ryan, great, right? Great, fair to say.
Great,
it's great.
It's
fair to say great.
Fair to say,
great.
It's solid.
It's not the best movie of all time, but it's fair to say it's great. Like it's a great time. So, and it's a great time. It's action. They don't stop. Every day is a fight. Everything's cool.
1917.
1917 is
goes
great.
in. It's a one take.
And one take. Yeah, everybody knows. Everybody knows.
One take. You follow one guy throughout the entire story.
It's a very like thrilling action-ish movie, right?
But again, it has more pace than Saving Private Ryan.
For sure, Saving Private Ryan is definitely more of an action. But the only point I was trying to get at is you kind of look at this movie then that deals with a man who's continuously trying every scene or so. He's trying to defuse a new bomb. Right? And for some reason, the idea of a bomb going off in a war-torn area feels very action-y. But this movie's far from an action movie. You would agree with that sentiment. Yeah. But that's what I think is fascinating to me. I love when genres break norm. And we've never talked about this movie on the podcast, but I watched Blade Runner.
Which one?
Is sci-fi one, the 1980s.
When?
Blade Runner?
Yeah, when did you watch
Not long ago.
Okay, yeah, you
remember I just told you about this, right?
So I was like,
no, let me get that.
I need the context.
I'm not getting it in a bad way. I'm not getting it. It wasn't my favorite movie, but what I like about Blade Runner is that it is like a slow burning kind of sci-fi movie, where most sci-fi movies are just like pew 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 action, you know. So I can appreciate when a movie sets itself up within the genre and kind of breaks the mold of what it's breaks the mold of what you're expecting from it. Because if you're told Jeremy Renner, Anthony Mackie, and Guy Pearce are going to be in a war movie,
who do you think has the most screen time? I'll right off the bat, if you haven't seen the movie.
First, well, Ralph Fiennes is in it too. So if you show that cast list, you'd probably assume Ralph Fiennes or Guy Pearce, but it's Jeremy Renner. But I'm more so hinting at the fact that there's something that this movie does where it makes the high stakes action thing feel so like humane.
It trades the entertainment value for tension every single time.
Like you're saying, instead of going boom boom and gunfights and everything, it trades that for a tense scene.
It trades boom boom pow pow for, oh my god, if he cuts the wrong wire, he's gonna die.
Everything's dying.
Yeah, and it's not in a way that like feels overly repeated too. It's not redundant. Every single time he goes to defuse a bomb or like tries to tackle a new issue or a new situation, you're like, he's really putting himself out there. The group themselves, they're just going.
Yeah, they're doing what their job is, but it's like so dangerous.
It's so dangerous, but it goes like, you know how you like in theory you understand something, but it's really when you put it into practice that you realize what is actually going on. this movie kind of did that. It just takes the idea of you're going to war, you're gonna face like big issues, big things. You're like, I have my preconceived idea on how you're gonna do this.
Yeah.
Then you watch how they do it, and you realize that it's. I love how when they take soldiers that are trained for war, and then makes you realize as an audience that they're only humanitarian resources that need to have guns on them. This was
they need to defend themselves.
Yeah, but it's the idea of 90% of the time they're doing humanitarian work without realizing it.
Well,
it was super interesting.
Like that's what that kind of you're like it builds off like what I'm trying to with the genre molding and genre bending, because if you asked, you only grow up knowing what you know about war, about whatever, and a lot of what we take from is pop culture, is our history or whatever we're taught. If you're taught, like I remember being in school and our teacher was like, we're talking about the Roman times and we're going to watch Gladiator.
Mm-hmm. I remember that class. I actually do.
What? Well, what? That's like saying we're going to talk about World War II. We're going to throw on Fury with Brad Pitt and we're going to... What the
Troy
what are we talking about? And I'm like...
No. Do you remember...
Watching Troy with Brad Pitt? No. I remember watching Gladiator vividly. But that's like cool for me because I love that movie. But I'm saying the preconceived notion of what it is to go to war is like get strapped, we're blowing up buildings, tanks. But like you look at this movie, modern war is bombs. It is trying to protect yourself, save citizens.
But it's not glorious. And
I'd say it's not glorious, but better. It's the movie doesn't glorify. It doesn't make it look like the movie. The movie doesn't make it look like it's a grand old time and go America. No. Like that makes it look like this American dude's out here in Iraq trying to like not die every day.
And this movie is making the soldiers realize that it is not glory, and that like psychological realization as you go through the movie with all the characters. It's crazy. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I have one point that I wanted to mention, and I'm going to go off that second idea. I love how they went for a really strong main character, but he's able to sit back so much during this movie because it really is as much as it is around him.
I was going to say quickly, just strong main character, not a overwhelming main character.
No, he's not.
He's not like weighing on the movie with his. You don't need him to push the story along. You need him to have. Yeah, exactly.
You need him to do his job. What. Yeah, but you need him because he's the reason your squad succeeds. He's technically speaking, he's the leader of the group. But going in, replacing someone else, I loved how they went for the movie is going to be centered narratively around his psychological involvement. But it's never going to be only about him. And it really, like, it helps to hide some of the flaws that those characters might have in terms of how they were written or otherwise. But that's not the issue. What I wanted to get closer to is the idea that the people with the idea of the glorified war, that they realize it's not all glory, quit, like right on the spot. Every single time in the movie, you realize that like they flinch, they break, they move. The people that are sold to the dream die. And the people that are good enough to like follow that idea and realize that this is all they have, and they're continuing. Yeah,
you're talking about the main character, but it's I never actually. You just broke it down into 3 points. I figured you were getting to the last point that you made, but it is true. That's it's a very good observation actually. That the people who sell themselves to the flag and like we're gonna win, they all die, and the people who are not. This is not what they expected. They just bounce. It's true. But like the last point you mentioned, through all that is the character who is self-aware enough to know what he is, what he does, and how those two things blend. Jeremy Renner's this movie has been labeled like, oh, this is the movie about the guy who can't quit war. But the movie is about a guy who, if not for war, doesn't feel like he amounts to anything.
Yeah.
So, and the movie only really, really, really peels that back at the very, very end, which is good because the rest of the movie, it shows that, first of all, he's way off the cuff. He's like so much cooler than every other bomb diffuser you'll ever meet. Bro just fucking shows up and
But
he's like,
one of the coolest.
they're like, sit at the perimeter. He's like, I don't need it. Click, click. We're done.
One of the coolest soldiers, like in movie
Yeah.
in general. I don't want to say this because I just watched it, but like truthfully, I've never. It's rare that you see a soldier that has control over a situation.
Man, bro, he doesn't give a fuck.
Bro walks in and he's like, "We're all gonna die regardless. Just let me do my thing."
So I was gonna ask you about that. There's so many bomb diffusers in this movie, so many action sequences. Like, and there's such a juxtaposition of scenes where it's not like a specific mission that gets followed through. It's there's a new bomb, there's a new bomb, there's a new bomb. What is your favorite? I don't want to say what's your favorite diffusal, but what's your favorite scene in the movie? It could be not a bomb diffusal. If it was, mine is. But
I remember specifically. It's gonna be very obvious, but I think the coolest. I'm gonna have two answers.
Yeah.
I can't decide. The coolest shot of a bomb is the poster itself when he pulls on all the cords
and
you
all
see,
like six bombs come out from the ground. Yeah.
But my favorite sequence.
Building off that,
Okay,
even
go ahead.
cooler, he pulls those bombs out of the ground, and the guy who put them there makes eye contact with him, and he just looks at him like looks him off, like, bro, I solved your problem very easily.
Yeah.
And the guy just runs away.
Drops the like battery on the
Yeah,
floor.
because he's not gonna kill him.
Nope.
But he just diffused. He took all the power away from him. So, yeah, just I was building off of that. Your second moment.
But my actual favorite moment is the car diffusal.
Yes. That's a fantastic moment in the movie.
Because what this moment exposed, it was.
That's when he pushes it the most.
If you take that scene
Yeah.
and you make it a short movie, it wins everything. And I'm not even capping. This scene alone.
It feels like a very well. Catherine Bigelow was already established; she could get whatever she wanted.
Yeah, but like,
if somebody wanted to make proof of concept for what this movie should be, that car sequence is fantastic.
But I really believe it though. Like through and through, it's one of the most gripping sequence of events I've seen in a long time in a movie. And it's not just because of the stakes; it's because of the way you realize that everything is interlaced perfectly. Everything makes sense because it's all a webbing of.
Yeah.
You realize that there's something going on, but as you're diffusing it, the entire plan of the enemy is unfolding as you're diffusing it. Everyone's trying to understand what's going on.
And that sequence happens later into the movie, and it's intentional placement in the story because it's okay. Like it's kind of like a okay tough guy. What about now? Like James has been cool. The guy's name is James. James has been cool as hell. He diffuses everything. He's cool. He's your cowboy. But what happens when he's being like not outsmarted, but he's being like this is like an actual opponent now. Like this is tough now. I'm building off your point. My favorite part is when the opponent's test is too tough. When there's a sequence, I think it's the last time he tries to defuse a bomb before going home, because they send him home because of it.
Yeah.
He essentially shows up with a suicide bombing vest. It is like locked to all hell.
There's like 5 padlocks on it.
Yeah, he can't. And essentially, as much as he's trying to like struggle with the man to try to get his things open, first of all, they can't speak to each other. I think if I remember 100% correctly, he pulls a gun on him to get him to calm down.
Yeah,
it's the only way you can get him to settle down. So he literally points a gun at him and tells him to stop. And then he tries to defuse it, and he realizes very quickly that even though he only has, I think it's like a minute and a half, that he'll never have enough time to get this thing done. So it's actually that was the moment where I'm like, this is not a sequence where the hero prevails. He is going to fail, not let his team down. His team's going to be fine, but his goal has always been to do his job, and he's going to fail at his job. The result of that, someone is going to die. This guy here is going to die, But
there's a nuance to that scene that you've not covered, and I just wish we cover here. It's just, you know how he went to like last second to like try to save his life?
Yeah.
And to me, it speaks, for some, it's going to speak to like how like single-minded and kind of, how can I say this, like bullish in a way, how he just like goes in and never thinks about it. But for me, it was, he understood very clearly what was going on in that man's mind and like in everyone's mind.
Yeah.
And he was like, I cannot leave this man alone until like I can justify that there's no time left.
Like, yeah, So, like you're saying, because it's very apparent as soon as he gets there, he's looking at it and he's taking off
And he
his
knows
clothes,
he
and
can't
he's
do
like, well, "It's gonna be really hard if we get to do this, but we're not gonna be able to do it. I need bolt cutters. We don't have them. They're in the other.
I need a
everything
blowtorch.
is
You don't have a blowtorch.
everything is like fuck. Nothing's lining up. So he knows, but you're right. He has to give that person like a moment of peace before understanding that. Where you're gonna be in about 1,600 areas in about 5 seconds. Like, but that's also it's my favorite moment because it's the complexity of the character is put there, where it's like the cowboy, like you're tough, your hero's gonna lose, the superhero's gonna lose, there's nothing he can do about it. So
how do you react?
He's got to do the last superhero thing he could do, which is make the person try to feel like everything's gonna be okay, but it's not. The guy's gonna die. But what I like more about it is as he's running away, the bomb goes off, and then you get the greatest looking scene fucking ever, bro. He's running, and I'm like, how many times has that shot been made? 1 million. How many times does it look like that? Never. The idea that the bomb is going off, this guy's about to fly, he smacks his nose on the glass of his visor. The rawness, the grit that Bigelow puts to that scene. The whole movie's full of grit, but the grit that she puts into that scene, the sound is the bomb, the crack, the whatever. There's something about it where I'm like, that encapsulates the entirety of what the Hurt Locker is into 1 second. I don't know exactly why it's the Hurt Locker. There's a they call something the Hurt Locker in the movie.
It's because of like the suit. I think it's.
I think so. Yeah, that's what I thought, but. I mean, I wasn't sure. It feels like that's probably accurate. But no, I love that thing. I love it too. Full practical. This movie, by the way, everything's a real bomb. Which, when I thought of that scene in retrospect, when he's running away and a bomb goes off, I'm like, that's Renner in a suit with a friggin' bomb going off behind him. Like,
the truth is, though, okay,
probably not Renner, Renner, but I'm saying that's a dude in a suit, bomb going on. Everything is probably done safely, but I love. That they can do filmmaking in an era where everything is can be made by. This movie can look entirely digital, but you wouldn't get the same feel from it at all. And that's what they do a really good job at.
It's crazy that we haven't talked about the camera yet.
Well, if you want to go with that, we go with that. First of all, everything's on camera. There's no digital alteration to this movie. Second of all, I have it right in front of me. It was shot in Jordan, which is right beside the Iraq border. Like they were right.
Jordany or Jordan?
Jordan.
In French, probably is Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan, yeah. They were out there, and I have this here. Hang on a second. Jeremy Renner was wearing the 90-pound bomb suit. It was 120 degrees Fahrenheit outside. He passed out once, but kept going. That's literally what's written here. Real heat, no CGI explosions, and then the camera, which is. It might as well. The only thing I can compare the camera to is if they slapped a piece of 80 grit sandpaper to the lens and just said "fuck it," because that's what it feels like. Everything is so grainy, but it's intentional, purposeful, gosh darn beautiful.
Handheld.
Oh yeah, that's your favorite.
That's my fucking favorite thing.
The fact that it feels like a Jake Paul vlog.
It feels like a The Office episode.
Bro, what?
This movie is Iraq War POV from my bayonet. It's crazy how they get those angles. Like there was this specific scene
bro,
where
they actually founded Middle Eastern war filmmaking when you think about it, bro. Like they found like the Hurt Locker is the reason. No, I'm not gonna say that. Just keep going.
Yeah. Like, think about it. There was this scene where, like, there was this hallway that we're going through, and there was this transition from, like, okay, it might be a bit far for you, but there's like two soldiers in front of that hallway, and there's the camera that just darts through the hallway behind one of the soldiers, and the way it shakes, like, it made me. I'm gonna sound like a kid. Made me feel as I was playing Rainbow Six Siege, going through a hallway, like peeking everywhere. But why I'm saying this, it makes you feel the tension. It makes you feel like, okay, you're not one of the soldier, but you're
right there with him.
It's almost as if you had a VR headset.
You don't want him to die.
No, and not only don't want him to die, there's this phenomenon in war movies where, to me, a good war movie makes it so that you're apprehensive of looking at the next corner. This movie makes me apprehensive about looking at the next corner every single time.
Literally.
Because you not only
Every
do you not
step
know,
feels like, where are you going?
yeah.
What are you doing?
It's not just that. It's the reason it makes it like I'm so apprehensive about it is how human connections are depicted in this movie. It makes it so that no matter what happens, you know that there's more than just another dumb soldier across you that's trying to kill you.
No,
there's an actual human being living their lives, and you're
For sure.
intruding on their territory, and you feel that every single step that they take.
Like you are there, you're physically on their land. Like how, like I always think about it. How would we feel if we were war torn, and we have like, I don't know, soldiers from China walking around on our street, tanks rolling, guys with guns
From America.
You're walking
Like,
outside, you look at them, and they're like,
What's up?
gun. Like you're like, whoa, like, and that's how these people feel. That's what the movie actually does a really good job at, and it shows also how the American military, American soldiers try to keep everything under control. Good scene. Car trying to drive on the street. Renner doesn't like it. Pulls a gun on the driver immediately. Like stop. Like like, and that's the power that they impose on these people when they show up. That's not what the movie focuses on per se, because it focuses on Renner's character and the idea that he's never gonna not do this. But if anything, Bigelow does a great job at showing the scope of it. This guy's here doing this every day on account of the fact that this is this is his job. I want to touch on one of the things I want to touch on for sure is Renner as a character, his character. I came to the realization about 5 seconds ago that the only way that Renner stops being like Renner's character stops diffusing bombs is he dies. That's like sad life. Like Sergeant James, that his character has a wife, a kid at home, who he loves them, but he doesn't love them more than bomb diffusing. Like that's the truth.
He loves them for all they are, but it's not him.
Well, no. Well, he loves them for all they are, but what they are is not what he wants.
But that's not.
He wants bombs.
He is like There was this scene with his kid that was. At first, when it started, I was like, "This is out of pocket for
What a
real."
fucked up thing to tell a kid.
Yeah, and then I looked at it and I saw like transition to the ending and what they tried to do with it. I'm like, I see it.
So essentially, what Nick's talking about is Renner sits down with this kid and he just looks at
Kid's
it.
like 2 years old.
He just looks at the baby and he's like, I'm hyperbole paraphrasing. I don't love you as much as bombs. Like,
bro, what he said is almost as bad. He's literally like,
what
when I was at war, I thought I loved 3 things in life, but as soon as I come back and I'm in my shoes, I only love 1 thing.
Yeah, he's like when I was a kid, I used to love 5, 6, 7 things. You used to love them. He says, then you get older and you like less and less things. And when you reach my age, he says it might only be 1. And then cut. Fuck it. That's the only time I felt like that movie was going full crazy American military. Because when they cut back, I swear I really did. I have the Mandela effect, but I was certain I heard fucking.
Yeah, I heard it too.
But I'm sure, like he's like, you only love 1, and then you just hear fucking.
I love CC.
Yeah, that's the ending of the movie, right? That's the punch to the gut where, and it's the only time he smiled. Like he's in his bomb suit, just like just full grin. Like, yeah, let's go fucking defuse a bomb.
Crazy. I remember yesterday when we talked about it, I was like, this movie made me want to watch another movie, and I forgot what was this movie. Do you remember that?
This movie made me want to watch another movie.
I did not tell you the movie. I just told you about it, and I forgot what the movie was.
Do I remember what the movie was?
No, I never told you.
No.
Because I forgot about it. I was like, I can't remember what the
movie
movie
So what are you
is.
asking me?
I was like, I'm about to tell you.
Oh. Okay, go for it.
This movie made me want to watch Incendie as quickly as possible. I know it's not the same
Then
vibe.
even, yeah. So
It's
then
not
even
the same
Nevzes
movie,
Hanzi. Okay.
but it's the idea of you're seeing people going through shit.
Yeah.
And I feel like Hurt Locker is really good at making you see people going through
Tough.
shit.
It's tough go for everybody in this movie. No one has a good time. Everybody's getting their ass whooped.
Yep.
I feel like he hasn't even gotten any props at all. Nobody gets their ass whooped more than Anthony Mackie in this movie.
Bro, and he whoops our asses too because he's a hell of a good actor.
Lately I've been watching The Studio, which is a Seth Rogen show that came out on Apple TV.
Okay.
It's essentially anthology, but not really. Every episode is just a new problem that he has to deal with. He's a movie studio executive. Episode 3 features a Ron Howard movie starring Anthony Mackie.
Okay.
Every director and actor plays themselves. Seth Rogen, Catherine Hahn, and Ike Barinholtz play the 3 studio workers. Bryan Cranston's the big boss.
Okay.
And Anthony Mackie's playing himself. Essentially, in this episode, they're talking with Ron Howard, whatever. The point is, Anthony Mackie shows up, and they immediately go straight into praise. They're like, "You're the greatest actor ever. We love you. You're underrated. We think you're the best." And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm watching this episode, and I'm like, how good is Anthony Mackie really? And then I pulled up the filmography, and I'm like, banger after banger. This guy he's fan-fucking-tastic.
Okay, and while you look it up, there's this one scene in a car. Earlier we started the podcast talking about how, I'm going to finish my point.
Go for it.
We were talking about how this movie either breaks you, kills you, or either kills you, breaks you, or you realize that there's a happy medium and you're a warmonger and everything's happy. The scene where Anthony Mackie's character breaks is one of the most heartfelt, genuine performance, again, I've ever seen. It's a minute 30, perhaps, in the entire scope of the movie, which is not that long. But the way he delivers it, the stakes are so real. And it's just the motivation to just live.
Keep in mind, Mackie is the first man who... Anthony Mackie's character starts on the team that Renner's character joins. So he loses he loses his teammates.
Yep.
Where Renner kind of brushes everything off and he's like, well, people die, so this is our job. Mackie is definitely more humane. He's by the book. He does his job. They get in tiffs because of that throughout the movie. But what Anthony Mackie does so well in this movie is where Renner is tough and doesn't really care about the consequences of whatever he's about to do. If he cuts a cord, he'll die, and he's okay with that. Mackie is not. Mackie's like, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I'm not comfortable with death. He is shocked by what he sees every day. He is worried about dying. And he translates that better than anybody else in the movie. That's what he translates his best. He translates that. Every time you look at Anthony Mackie in the Hurt Locker, you're like, yeah, this guy's shook. He's not.
No. But okay, again, I don't want to sound disingenuous, but there's this stigma, again, not by us. I know that for a fact. But there's this stigma around PTSD and how people that come back from war that needs moral support and psychological support either don't get it or people underestimate what they actually need.
It's a very big issue.
Watch that performance. And for me, I was like, damn, he's just putting it on display how war violence and injustice can break someone.
Man. And it's not just bad. War violence. It's the friendships that you make, the loss, the potential, the fear of loss that you're constantly dealing with, the shocking imagery. I feel like as a society, we're very desensitized. We see people die on Twitter. But when these people see a guy blow up, they just saw a guy blow up, right in front of them.
The doctor scene where he socializes and tries to get close to people, and just he ends up dying too. It's sad, but it's just there's again this movie. If you haven't seen it again, please go watch it.
I want to make a movie rec.
Yeah,
The Hurt Locker. Watch The Hurt Locker. But you just talk about PTSD. I just watched a great movie that I wanted to cover on the pod, and I realized that it's too, not touchy, but I'm too out of my own element. I have nothing to say that's going to add value to a movie like this. And the movie's called My Dead Friend Zoe.
Yeah.
Brand new. Just came out not long ago. Premiered at TIFF. It's I'm forgetting the actors, but Ed Harris, Morgan Freeman are in it. But they're not the main characters. They're side characters. Essentially, it's a woman comes back from war, and her teammate passed away, and so she deals with the PTSD. But it is by far the best, or what I felt was the most impactful representation of PTSD that I've ever seen for someone who doesn't have that problem. It's very hard to describe what PTSD is. Like, you can describe the medical term of it, but how does that feel? It's very hard. This movie does a great job. My Dead Friend Zoe is the movie. I feel like that's like the sequel to this poor guy's life, Mackie's life in the Hurt Locker. But yeah, war movies are a complex being. When you Hollywoodize them and you action movie them, the impact's not felt like it is when you make them like so. Dramatization, hell, comedy can make a war movie feel much more impactful than, bang bang skeet skeet.
Yep. Like again, it's just again, I don't want to be jumping off the cuff and sounding like some kind of people that just don't understand the idea of like everything can just belong where it does. But when you watch a movie like this, you really realize how it's kind of disrespectful in a way to just portray violence in the way that we do in our society. And again, for this movie to have done so many internal reflection to me speaks to how good it is. But it's just everything about it was like our approach is inherently wrong at a lot of things that we do.
Well, like especially when you talk about war filmmaking
and
we
war
make,
in general, but
like
the idea of it.
like murder for entertainment is essentially what. And action movies are fun. I'm not here trying to be a bitch and talk about how war.
Bro, I love John Wick. Like,
no, like killing is fun on camera, but I mean like, in the movie context. But I'm saying, when you talk about a war movie, my only problem is you make a movie like John Wick, like James Bond. These are movies that can exist because they are clearly so set in superficial land. Whereas, like, let's make a World War II movie like Saving Private Ryan, and we're gonna do the beach scene, the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan. I'm sure it's grounded in realism, not specifically that scene, but the whole movie is like. If I was a war veteran and I was watching this movie, I'd be like, "You think I did this? Like, you think is what it was every day? Maybe it was. I wasn't there, but I feel like there's
this nuance.
There's lacking a human touch for some of these things, which is what I look forward to.
For Saving Private Ryan, just blame the color palette, but like we won't get into it.
No, but what I look forward, the human touch is what I look forward to in warfare. Like, that's what I want to see. Like, not because I think that Alex Garland is this all-time director. You watch this, and the first thing you told me is this made me realize how bad Civil War is. So I don't think it's the same type of movie at all.
I don't think either, but it's just the idea.
The depiction of war is not the same at all.
The reflection that this movie gave me,
yeah,
in terms of like everything I just said, I don't want to repeat myself.
Yeah,
but all of that was the intent, the specific intent of Civil War, and it did not hit any of them.
To me, Garland's Civil War is a political movie that is not fully political, and it is a war movie that is not a full war movie.
Which
it's just really an in-betweener.
Yeah,
so
but
it's tough to figure out. I felt, it lacked a little bit of fulfillment. I just think that this upcoming, his next film is
like, don't get me wrong, good enough to like, I'm gonna give him a second chance.
No, I don't think. No, there's no ruling out Garland.
No,
Garland's fantastic
and a technical mastermind. Like that, I got.
Civil War is beautiful.
It's really well shot. What he tries to do
sounds fantastic. Yes. No, you can't. No, there's no ruling out Alex Garland. He's good. He's very good. It's, to me, it's Civil War is not your and I's cup of tea. Some people watched Civil War and they thought it was fantastic. Fantastic. People loved Civil War. It was on people's top 10 list of last year. Like, that was a real thing. People loved it.
I don't see how, but sure.
But it's not our thing.
No.
Especially because I think the only thing that led us astray with Civil War is when they released marketing for that, they were like, no one's ready for this thing. No one is.
It's always
No
the same
one's
thing.
ready for this.
Every
And then like
movie's
we were
going for
like,
it.
fuck, I guess no one's ready for it. And then we watched it and we're like,
Of course, I was not ready for that.
well, that's it. Like it was a very much a that's it type of moment because
I'm not about to tell on
did
camera what I did while watching that movie in the theater.
you probably like it was equivalent to thumb twiddling. It was a tad. I'm not like look.
I pulled up.
If you like Civil War, I'm happy. It's tough for other people to get into.
Bro, I pulled up a game of chess and played it for 35 minutes.
On your phone.
On my phone.
You were that
I
guy.
never did
Theater
that.
was empty.
Yep.
Theater was empty.
I never did that
I
ever
was
in my
You
life.
see that fucking spider dropping from the ceiling?
Oh, God.
Dope as fuck.
Bro, we're about to get bit. Watch me go in the Spider-Verse. But bro,
He's going back up.
and
Bro,
I had...
he heard us talking. Wait a second. He heard us talking about if he's going. I'm gonna fucking kill that bitch.
Bro, he's ginormous.
Bitch. Where'd he go?
Bro, you literally...
Oh, he's there. Bomba.
Bro. And I had brother Matt sitting right beside me. Like,
shit.
the ultimate source of entertainment was sitting a meter away from me. And I still
Why did he
had...
come see that?
I don't know. But bro, I was there and I had to pull up the chess.
It's all right. No. The movie was just the only word I can use for it is underwhelming. I thought it was fine. Civil War is fine. War, I think what he did, the flaw that Civil War deals with is that it is too grand. It is an attempt to be bigger than it has to be.
Bro, it's... I'm going to get killed for this. It's a pseudo war movie mixed with World War Z.
That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. I'm not even going to build off that. I'm just going to say Warfare is 90 minutes set in real time.
But do you see it?
I don't have to say if I saw it or not because I like the idea of having a career. So I'm just gonna say that Warfare is gonna be 90 minutes set in real time, co-directed by a real war veteran,
Fair enough.
starring Joseph Quinn, Will Poulter,
Will Poulter's a legend.
Gandolfini, the son, Noah Centineo, Charles Melton. Like, this cast is crazy. A24 is releasing it. Defaro Wutai. I don't want to. Cosmo Jarvis, Kit Connor. Look at this fucking thing. Michael Gandolfini, I said it already. Look at this list.
Well, it's going to be good.
It's going to be fucking tastic. We could have got IMAX streaming on Wednesday.
It's IMAX?
Yeah, but I have to go. I can't go.
Yeah, I can't go either. That's why I was like...
No, but we're going to go on...
It's Friday.
Friday
night.
Yeah, we're going to see Friday. And then we're going to see if we...
See, I say all this shit, but I'm still going to go like first week.
Why would we not? Movies are made to be watched. So
exactly.
Yeah, anyway, that's a whole different thing for a whole other thing. But
What else has he made?
bro, Alex Garland, Ex Machina, Civil War, Annihilation, which I haven't seen. Men, I haven't seen. This is a
Movie.
a show for 409 minutes, and then Warfare, which comes. He's 6 movies, but he did write The Days Later's and Sunshine, which was
I'm gonna then change my World War Z and replace it with 28 Days Later.
fair enough. All right, look,
You got the intent.
Look, if you haven't seen The Hurt Locker, go watch The Hurt Locker and go to the movies to watch Warfare. It'd be so much more fun to do this if we had a sponsor. Imagine we could put a sponsor at the end. Like, go see Warfare, get your tickets now. Link is in the description. We can't.
But imagine.
But I encourage people to go to the movies like that, though. I really do. I told,
Well,
who was I
Cineplex, I'd be
talking
so
to?
good to you.
Oh, it'd be so fucking good to Cineplex. Oh, my gosh. I'm there every week.
Literally.
I feel like taking on another subscription of the Cinepass because it's worth it for me at this point. Yeah, anyway.
Imagine stacking those like rebates.
Bro,
Can you?
I can't stack the rebate, but I would be able to stack the free ticket. It's stupid.
Yeah, it's not worth it. Bro, if you were able to stack the rebates,
stacking the rebate would be crazy.
only
I
2
already
times.
have
though.
like 30,000 scene points.
What are you supposed to do with $300? You know,
30,000 scene points is what?
1,000 scene point
No, it's 30
is $10.
It's 30 beans.
No, 1,000 scene point is $10.
Get the fuck out of here.
I swear
I
to
don't
God.
have 30,000. I'm just fucking around. I obviously don't. I use them. I use them when there's a movie I'm not so interested in. Like I'm like,
So it doesn't feel like
you know.
Uh,
Anyway, look, that takes us to the end of the CineCloud podcast for this week. If you enjoyed the listening, you can do the
liking.
If you enjoyed listening or watching, you can go like down there and subscribe down there. But I'm visualizing. And if you're listening on audio and you don't see what I'm pointing to, you could give a follow and give us 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it. If you don't want to give us 5 stars, just tell us the truth. Give us a star rating just because it's fun.
Only 5 though.
If you don't want to give us 5 stars, just don't give us a star rating. You could leave a comment and you could follow or share to somebody who you think would like it. We appreciate it. Anyway, that's been it. You should hold that for a while. That's been it. Yeah. Yes, I knew it. I knew it was going to do the fireworks shit. Let's go. Okay, bye.